Hey everybody. Is this on? This is on. It's Dead Poetics, also known as Connor. I think you've met me before once or twice. Thought I'd better give you an update video on YouTube since I don't post there as regularly as I used to because I'm not streaming as much as I used to be. Which isn't anything about necessarily having anything against streaming or anything like that. And I hope this sound picks up. I'm trying to project a little bit. Typically I usually can, as you know. But I thought I'd give you an update video on what's been going on and why I haven't been able to keep a consistent schedule and all that kind of stuff. And for the most part, it's good reasons. So basically for this whole summer, around, well, let's see, I'm under the third month, so I guess beginning of June, I was just at a real low point. You probably remember. Wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't eating well. Wasn't doing very well with work, and streaming was falling off and all that kind of stuff, right? You know this. I've been floundering back and forth. We had a couple of poetry streams, tried to keep things going, you know, like you do. And I would recommend to anybody else going through that, false starts are starts. Don't forget that. Just because it's not consistent and because you didn't keep it up every day 24/7 doesn't mean that you can't do that occasionally. So I'm one of those that beats myself over the head for that. But for the last 3 months I've been trying to fix it. So I've been attacking it from a couple different directions. So you probably see the posts on various streaming medias of me trying to work out. So what I've been doing for working out is hi Bootsy, come here. Yes, cat. Oh, you don't want the, fine, okay. You can see his fluffy tail. Meow. You can see his fluffy tail in the background here. Yes, cat. But anyway, I've been working out with various things in the room here. You see the torture sex dungeon device behind me, which is it's a sliding bench trainer. It's a wider Ultimate Body Works, which I'm hoping to get into after this workout program is done, and then I'm going to change direction a little bit and see how this thing works, because I actually do enjoy it. But I've been using these guys. So basically, pretty much every day after work, I've been doing weight training workouts with these using Undersun Fitness resistance bands. And these are not your grandma's bands. Not that your grandma ever used bands, but maybe your grandma does now. Maybe she uses Undersun resistance bands. I don't know. I don't mean to be judging. This thing is so beat up that I can't even find the brand name anymore. Oh, here we go. So you can kind of barely see it. Of course, it's backwards in the video, but Undersun resistance bands, because they've got a program that if you pick up the bands and you get the program, or you can buy the program separately, and it's a 3-month program. So that's where I've been. And I've realized that having to do that every day and then jump onto a computer and stream for another 2 hours is too much. So I've been basically giving streaming a miss so I can get my body back together. And as you can see, it doesn't really do a whole hell of a lot. I don't know. Maybe I look different, maybe I don't. I feel a hell of a lot better. I've lost weight, I've gained muscle mass. So I guess we can't really, I can't really fault it too much, right? I mean, it's doing exactly what I want it to do. In the meantime, I've also been taking vitamin supplements. I do have extra protein supplement for my diet just to keep that going. I also do take a very low-grade pre-workout, and I know that they say pre-workouts wear off using too much or whatever. It works just fine for an old guy like me who's in his 40s. Not that I'm that old. Don't look at me like that. But I'm old enough so things start to break and wear down, and having a little bit of that pick-me-up right after work does make a difference. So I've got that going on. If you ever care about what I'm using, I can go into that on a stream maybe someday. If you care, maybe you don't. But I got another confession to make. So I've also been going to therapy as much as I possibly can. It's covered through my employment, and so I only get so many of them. But it's been good. But there's one thing I did discover. Hang on, let me find the book. So here we go. So this was kind of a little bit of not a shock, but it made sense to me. So I've been kind of looking into this. Yeah, you can't read it backwards. What this is a book by Martin Cantor Essential Guide to Overcoming Avoidant Personality Disorder. So I've got my own things that I've been fighting with, and me saying that probably brings a bunch of bells for you too, like, oh, I can totally see that, right? Yeah, well, anyway, makes sense. So I'm learning about that and how that works, and this probably is something that's been holding me back my entire life. But the problem with this is it's based, from what I understand, on learned behaviors, and they are very hard to unroot. So a lot of that is just trying to get around them, but it's almost like rather than trying to pry open a crate with a screwdriver, I'd rather be strong enough to use a crowbar. So while I've got this for reference, I've been working out, I've been walking, I've been trying to focus on mindfulness. Well, that's the two parts there. So learning about myself, working on my fitness, working on my health, whatever. I've always wanted more muscle tone and mass anyway, so this is actually working on a goal of mine I had for years. But the other part of this is also kind of mindfulness sort of meditation training. There's an app I've been using called Fabulous. I've talked about it before. That kind of helped. Hi, Bootsy. That's kind of helped get me a toe in and kind of getting all these other habits started. I recommend it. It's on the App Store. Go check it out. It's actually legit because the writers that they quote are actually decent. And any app that quotes Rumi and Hafiz is a A+ in my book. But anyway, that's beside the point. If you care about that, fine. But the other part about that, and I've talked about this before, is there's a crazy son of a bitch called Wim Hof, which I don't care what you think about him. He's got a cult-like following. I get that. That's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I have a cult-like following. It's fine. But one thing is he's known for cold resistance and cold therapy, so to speak. And I've always been fascinated by that because I live and have lived my entire life, pretty much, except for 6 years when I was a kid, within cold, desperately cold climates, and I've always hated it. But I'm too broke to move, or was for the longest time, and now I'm kind of planted. And I'm sorry, forgive the underpeck sweat or underboob sweat. I guess I can call it that now. I actually now have that a little bit. But it also incorporates breathing techniques. Now, I've worked on breathing techniques in the past, and even through the therapy that I've been going through, one of the things that comes up is breathing, because one of the things with this disorder is it, of course, is that causes things like anxiety, like paranoia, like panic attacks, like depression. All those things are caused by that sort of thing. So to get around that, of course, attacking it from more of a behavioral level, the crowbar, right? That's kind of my theory. I don't know if it's going to work, but for the past 3 months, I've been making some progress that I've really enjoyed, and using the breathing techniques that he espouses does something. What it gives is it gives a method like exercise that you can practice and improve on, and with practice it gets better. It's like a video game. The more you do it, the better you get at it, the more progress you see. And one thing I've noticed is, and maybe it's a generational thing, I'm Gen X, but I'm on the border. I was born in 79. So 80, 81 is when we start to get into, I think, millennial, from what I understand. So I'm on the cusp there. I still consider myself more Gen X because I have a lot more affinity to that generation. But one thing that I think our mindset, particularly streamers, we don't have a goal-centered mindset. We have a task-oriented, maybe, I don't know how to call it. It's the same thing with Diablo. Kill things, get stuff, get more levels, get more experience points, right? That is a pleasurable experience for us. We like that. We're used to that. I am a gamer, even if I'm not streaming it. I like games. Talk about that in a minute. But that sort of mindset, if you have something that you can achieve, it's going to seem a lot more appropriate or a lot more appealing to you because you can kind of do that, right? So that's kind of my theory with this, is to kind of give myself habits. Structure helps a lot with this. You get out of that ruminating mindset by giving yourself ritual, by giving yourself habits, by replacing what you used to do with what things you're going to do now. And so the working out every day with a program, getting up in the morning and doing the habits that I have through Fabulous, and then doing the breathing exercises, all that stuff works together to make this sort of complex sort of game. And that's what I've been doing for the past 3 months. So what have I accomplished so far? Well, I've graduated up to the highest level band. No, I'm just kidding. It's not, it doesn't go by that. But I have a lot stronger mind-body connection now than I used to. I feel better, like I said. I do feel stronger. I feel like I look somewhat better. I don't think I really do. That's something I'm gonna work on. But walking and that sort of thing, my confidence level has gone from here to here. It's visible now. It's somewhere out there on the spectrum where it wasn't before. And that's one of the biggest problems with this, is one of the hinge pins is lack of confidence. And so if I can start to make headway with that, everything starts to slowly unravel a bit. The other thing too is I haven't had a drink in those 3 months as well. And it's not so much I felt like that was controlling my life, but it was a crutch. And it was a crutch that while, you know, I'm not stumbling in the streets and I haven't gone through rehab 100 times, it's something that after work, if I'm stressed, that makes it really too easy to fall into a pattern of consuming empty calories and basically not doing other things and not sleeping well and not having the energy to do what I want to do, which is I want to stream, I want to create something, even if it's not streaming, doing this, content creation, performing, talking, is things I like to do. So, that's where we're at. But that's the fourth thing that I don't really mention so much because I keep forgetting about it, but it is a big thing. Because in this area specifically, particularly I should say, one of the biggest things is to go out because there's not a whole lot else to do, particularly in the wintertime. You go out, you go to the bar, you have a couple drinks, you come home. Well, that's fine, but then that becomes once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, and then that becomes kind of where that fills your time in. And that you don't have the time to do anything else. But then the other thing too is because I don't have that as a social outlet, finding others isn't as easy. And Twitch is extremely intimidating. If you don't accept that, you're wrong. It's an extremely intimidating environment, particularly for people who are LGBTQIA plus and people of color and anybody who is from a different mental mindset or from a different socioeconomic background or anything that doesn't fit the gamer sort of status quo, right? It's very intimidating because there's people that come at you from left field and are just hateful fuckers. Excuse my language, but you guys are all adults, and if you're not, you will be soon. And it's just, and I'm sorry for talking off the cuff like this, and I'll probably get yelled at for it. Fine. But this is what I've been doing. This is what I've been thinking about, and this is what I've been going through. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 3 months. And I think now, kind of considering where that energy's kind of gone, trying to start slower and not trying to push the bill like I had been. The other thing too is I've also been gone on vacation. I've taken a couple of vacations with my wife, and we just celebrated our 14th wedding anniversary. I had to think about it because we actually lived together for a year before that. We were dating before that, so I often get the years wrong. No, 14 years. And that was fun. And that was really enjoyable. And then before that, we went camping. So it's there's other things going on. So I want to tell you that, like, I miss you all, but I'm not dying. Obviously not, you know that. But it's been a good experience that I hope may, I don't know, keep me alive longer. Maybe not, or maybe go out a ball of flame, which would also be fine. But we'll see how it goes. He says as he sups on his protein drink. So I don't know what the future will necessarily hold. But I've got a tentative plan for next Wednesday, assuming I don't have any conflicts. No, actually tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm gonna try a stream. Don't know what. I'm gonna keep it like that. Actually, Smoking Man, who you know or maybe you don't know, excellent streamer. He's playing Elden Ring right now. I do recommend watching the Smoking Man. He's on later at night, but it's worth it. And also Dayspring and Afro back on too, so watch them as well. But he said one of the things he mentioned as an idea is, how is it only Wednesday? Maybe I'll use that as the stream title, and I'm stealing it from him. Old Carlin bit. But keeping it at that for now. So that's kind of what the update is. This update is probably more raw than I've had in a while. I always am very afraid of offending people. I'm always very afraid of people turning off. And I'm always very afraid of not pleasing people. That's all part of that too. So if I have, I'm sorry. Or if I have, I'm not sorry. It's all part of the game. But for those of you who've been coming along for the ride, you know I really appreciate it. A lot of you, if it wasn't for you being around, I wouldn't have still been involved. I would still be around, but I probably wouldn't be streaming. I'd probably be, scrolling on my phone right now. Or, playing Minecraft by myself. And that's... Somebody said something the other day. It was Meg from Twitter. And they said how they don't have transportation, so, Twitter or Twitch or whatever is kind of like the only social interaction they get. Something like that. And that struck me. That that's not an uncommon situation right now. And I think I often take transportation for granted. And it's not. And so that's the other thing that's in the back of my mind burning, is that one of the things we create as streamers specifically, YouTubers, you kind of do, but you kind of don't. TikTokers, I have no fucking clue. Twitter, don't even start. But streamers, you've said this for years, I'm finally starting to listen, is we do create a space. A social space. And that's something that people don't have access to a lot. And we create a space that almost everybody can access for free. And we have rules, of course, but for free. You get to communicate with someone who's live, but also communicate with others in text form. And I've never thought of that as being a beautiful thing. I've always thought of that as, like I said earlier, being an intimidating, just fuckery. But it's not. And I think we're at a place now where we have to stop. I have to stop not taking it, not necessarily seriously, but remember what it is. It's not necessarily all about me. It is, but it isn't, but it is. But it's more of the space we have. And it doesn't matter if there's 500 people in chat and half of them aren't even talking to you and the other half might not even be listening. That's fine. It's a space. It doesn't matter if there's 2 and one of them isn't able to type and the other one is very vocal and that's all you have. That's fine, because they're spaces. They are curated, monitored, measured spaces that are about as independent as we can get at the moment and are very accessible to get to, but unfortunately with all the drawbacks thereof. Okay, so I'm off my soapbox, but that's something I've tried to remember. Because one of the things I can do is I can be in a space, but it's hard for me too, and I got to remember that that's where this comes in, and that's falling into those traps and recognizing them and coming out of them is tough. But what helps is to remember that it is not so much about what we say and what we do and what we're playing and how. It's our people chatting with each other, Are they chatting with us? Are people watching people interact? Are people simply watching in the background and just watching the world go by, and you happen to be the streamer they're watching? That's okay too. One of my favorite things in the world was just watching people go by. It's one of the reasons why I used to go out all the time. I didn't care if I was out by myself or not. All I wanted to do was pretend I saw people. Even if I wasn't talking to anybody else, I could watch people go by. And there's something beautiful about that, and there's something I enjoyed about that. That there's an interaction there that's without pressure, without that performance aspect. And I have that two-sided coin. Right now, I have my style, my voice. I can hear it. I can feel myself doing it. And that's something I've learned over years. And that's a face. That's a mask. That's a fucking mask. That's why I love these. But the other side of it too, I have to remember, is I'm also simply a participant. I don't have to respond to everything. I don't have to read everything. I'm just here. And sometimes all we can do, this comes up a lot too, streamers are not mental health associates. I get that. We all get that. If we don't get that, really? But one thing we can do is at least give a place to shove a comment, to throw a feeling out, to say, hey, I'm really not feeling it today. Thanks for being online. Or, hey, I'm just going to say this right now. It's been a crappy day. And just be able to say, hey, that sucks. In the Brené Brown way. And I hate to use that to bring her up. But there's one thing that she always said, that to be empathetic, and I'm paraphrasing this horribly, but she used, a long time ago on a TED, I think it was a TED Talk, an analogy of someone who's, let's say someone's in the bowels of depression, and it's a hole. Of course it's a hole. I know what that is. I'm sorry, as the older I get, the more I'm realizing what depression really can become. And you go down to be sympathetic with somebody. You don't necessarily look at them and say, oh, keep at it. Oh, keep your head up. Okay, just climb on out of there. We're all rooting for you. That's not it. Not always. That's good too, though. But the thing is that sometimes it just involves getting uncomfortable, crawling down that ladder in that space, even if it's simply for a moment of eye contact with the camera, and letting it kind of hit you of, yeah, this does suck. It does suck. And just saying that is just, it's like an acknowledgement. You can never know what somebody else is going through. You can never say, I understand. Because, I am one of those that will say, no, of course not, no, you don't. Well, whatever. But the point being is that we have a space where you can simply listen and say, yep. And I'm not saying to make it, it's not a therapy session. They aren't. They are a social space. And like any social space, it can become all sorts of things. I have seen chats that have become collages of color, full of emojis from half a dozen different streamers in a wonderful just cascade of bullshit that's just fun. I have seen chats become some of the most complicated conversations that you can't even follow. I have seen chats walk through installs one by one, and then I've also seen chats that are some of the most insightful things. And I've also seen chats deteriorate into, unhelpful, what's the word? Constructive criticism is unconstructive criticism? Not productive. Kind of pity parties, and I don't want to say it like that though, but they become sort of this mess of glorifying that sort of suffering, which isn't good either. Or becoming a hateful pissing contest. Or simply just become a raw, just negative mosh pit. And that's a social space. And so and we fight it as best we can, right? I mean, what tools do we have? Very little. And what backup do we have? Oh, none, because it's all fucking money. Anyway, but just recognition of that. And for those who have been streaming for a while, and I don't mean big or small, I mean just experience. You know that. We all know this. And it's hard to remember that, and it's hard to walk back into that. Which is where I come to the cold therapy. So the one thing I like about the Wim Hof method and exercise and all that kind of stuff is one thing I have learned is forcing yourself into stress on your body helps with everything else too. That's what I'm trying. I'm trying this. I don't recommend it for everybody. I don't even know if I'll post this on YouTube. Well, I probably will already. I've already been talking for almost a half hour. For those of you who've been watching for all this time, go find a book. Gosh, I'm about as unimaginative as you could possibly find. I don't even know if the sound is carrying through. Anyway, but that's my take. Your opinions may vary. If you want to put them in the comments, I don't give a shit. You can. And disagree with me all you want, because that's one of the things I also have problems with, is remembering people disagreeing with you isn't a personal commentary or attack. And I know the things I'm saying are things that probably ring a bell with you too. And you're like, yeah, I fight with that all the time. Good luck. Or it's like, oh, yeah, no, that sounds familiar. I should look into that. Yeah, we all have this. These are the pieces we put together. This is life. And it's tough. But I think these virtual spaces, some of them are lost causes. Some of them are still evolving. And there's hope there. What kind of hope? I don't know. But I have seen situations that give a space where there was none before. And to some extent give voice where there was none before, for good or for bad. But it also gives us all a chance to talk a little bit in front of people, be listened to, but then also to simply just watch the world go by and feel like you're part of something. What was I talking about? Anyway, that's where I've been. God. So there's your update for Dead Poetics, formerly Dead Linux. I'm still both. I hope there's not people out there that think like, oh, he changed his name so he doesn't use Linux anymore. Bullshit! I'm using it right now. In fact, I probably will change from Fedora now into something else. Updated to Fedora 36, thank you. I finally did it. I was on 34 or whatever. Still using Kubuntu on this other machine. But yeah. If you want me to talk about this stuff again or later on, or I may post it anyway, we'll see. As we get closer into the winter, I've been taking cold showers every morning. Pretty much every morning. I think I've skipped twice in the past 3 months. Or had a warm shower. Some days I take 2. I've really enjoyed it. I've really got to the point where I really am starting to love it. And as winter starts to come upon us, which it will, I'm coming at it from a completely different place. Before, when I started experimenting with this stuff, I was only halfway in. Even with the resistance bands and with working out and with cold therapy, breathing, I've had about a couple months of serious practice and been on and off before that. I feel like I'm starting to get it now. And there's something exciting about that. And it's hard to remember that without talking about it. So this may be just all for me. But I'm continuing to do that. And like I said, when this month is over, we'll see if we can go back to a regular schedule. And I want to start using this thing instead. Resistance bands are great. I love these. I really, really do. There's a lot about them that is just unbeatable. And if I hadn't had them, I wouldn't be doing this. But I can do the same thing or similar with this. And this is a completely different beast. And I like the challenge here too. So that's what we might switch to. And this we might stream a little bit more. Because if you may notice, there is a poster right behind my head. That is a series of exercises that I picked up from a YouTuber by the name of Sliding Bench Trainer, who has a website. But makes their whole bread and butter off of machines like this guy. And so they see results, I've seen them get results, and I like that challenge too. And that this is all, just alternative forms of weight training. And a lot of people just go, oh, it's not real. I don't care. It seems to work. Screw you. I'm going to try something different. I use Linux, for fuck's sake. You're going to tell me to stick with the status quo? I'm going to use weird shit. Okay. But anyway, that's what my plan is. I do have other ideas too. I just need the energy and the time, and focusing on this and getting this program done is an achievement I want to make. It's not a big thing. It's just I've never finished a training program before, even if it's just on my own. And this is really exciting that I'm getting into the last month of it. So I kind of want to finish that up first, which is it's a 7-day split, 5-day split with 2 days off. I know everybody hates splits. Whatever. I'm following the program as close as possible because I want to finish it. Kind of like finishing a book. So once that's done, then I'll have to kind of plan out what that will work like, because I want to do something similar with what I'm doing, because now I'm used to it. And then I'll still use resistance bands and stuff, but that stuff I'll probably show you, and then we'll probably have workouts together, because it will be cold, and while I'm trying to get into cold therapy, working outside is not going to be an option with the machine or with resistance bands if it's -10 Fahrenheit, not Celsius, because I can't do the math. So we'll see. But then there's also another series I want to start as well. Not Skyrim related, but more Linux related. And I haven't gotten that off the ground yet. I've gotten some notes. I have the first game I want to cover. And I know what I want it to do. And I still haven't done it yet. So that's there. The Skyrim series, I am going to probably make it YouTube exclusive again a little bit, because it's easier to schedule that around. And I need to get that a little bit further along so I can kind of get into the groove of it, of how I want that to go. I have a feel of how that character's going to go, but kind of like with Jackio, where Jackio took a long time to kind of get the feel of what that story feels like. I need to get the same way with Many Roads as a character, because that's my D&D. I mean, I've never played, I have played D&D for a very short period of time in my entire life, but the time sink is just never something I can justify when I got so many other things I want to do. Sounds horrible. I don't mean it like that. I mean, that's just where I want to devote my time. But then when I want to play something that's a role-playing game, I jump to Skyrim because it's my sandbox. And I like being able to jump into that sandbox and create a story. And that's kind of what the story is. So I still want to keep that because I love mods. I love Skyrim mods. And they're still being produced. And there's a lot of mods I still haven't had a chance to play. I don't care where I get them from. I know that's a big thing. But I still want to keep that going. I still like having the Survival Monday style game day where I can choose whatever I want. And then Final Fantasy X is still there. It's still on the mark. I may, again, it's one of those, I may play a little bit more offline to kind of get the feel of it, or maybe not, I don't know. See how that goes. But that's, again, this is all just pie in the sky until I can get down again and do it. Right now, Wednesday. Let's just focus Wednesday. Wednesday is all I'm going to do for a little while. And at least through the month of August, even if I can't keep that up, let's try. And see what happens. And that's what I've got so far. 33 minutes and 50 seconds. Again, why? I hope I'm on the background and you're doing something a lot more exciting. But thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe. I'm not going to tell you to follow. You know how to do that. If you want to, do it. I just like the attention. So if you want to hang out, on Twitch it's Dead Poetics, on YouTube it's Dead Poetics, and on Instagram it's Dead Poetics Pics, and on Twitter it's Dead Poetics Twits. I've removed most social media off of my phone that I'm recording from right now, and just using it off of, there's a tablet, a cheapo tablet I picked up, actually for use in the stream, that I've got that on there for when I devote time to do that. And otherwise, I will simply be posting updates. I won't necessarily be responding as much as I do, because I feel like then I get kind of caught in that social media scrolling trap, and I'm trying to stay out of that. So I'm just using the phone for posting updates, posting go lives, and that's about it. So that's kind of where that interaction will be. Doesn't mean I won't see the updates. Likes and comments and things on these posts, I'll see on the phone. YouTube, for whatever reason, you can't remove from your Android phone. So I'll see everything. If you comment on the YouTube vid, I'll see it. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you to you don't have to, if you like what you see, you follow, like, subscribe, I really need it. No. Hang out if you feel like it. If you don't. I'll still be here anyway. Because as lackadaisical as I am, I've got all the equipment. There's no reason not to. So, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of your life as well. And I will see you next time. Till then.